Mr. Anderson comes with a lot of experience. He is with the Bank of Jamaica, no less. I'm really grateful that we have Mr. Anderson coming with us to be able to share his knowledge. He's the Executive Director of Financial Market, the Acting Head of Financial Technical Secretariat, which has to deal with financial inclusion. So we are privileged to be able to have Mr. Mark Anderson with us to be able to present on the topic, how capital providers can facilitate financial inclusion for MSME. All right, let's welcome Mr. Anderson to the mic.
Good morning, everyone hearing me? Yes. Okay, good morning. I'm happy to see you out on this Saturday morning. It's my pleasure to be here. I am Mark Anderson. I'm with the Bank of Jamaica, and I'm here in the capacity of sharing some thoughts on financial inclusion. I think earlier Greg was talking about, was it Paul? I think it was. Did I hear correctly? Yes. Paul, yes. And pretty much what I took from his opening remarks is that money is not an end in and of itself. It is a vehicle through which we can achieve so many other things and to record output and productivity, sounding very economics just now. But it's not an end in and of itself. I think it's something that you certainly can multiply the extent to which you pursue your passion, add value, deal with a challenge that someone else is having that they will pay you to address for them. All right, so just a little opening exercise. Just by show of hands, I see we have a mixed crowd here. I take it that the majority are entrepreneurs or entrepreneur-minded. Some would have their businesses, and others will have their little side hustle. That's how many businesses start. So don't shake it. You know, it's something that you should cultivate. Just in your personal life, do you have a bank account or any other financial account with a regulated entity? A bank account, any account with a licensed regulated entity. Okay, almost certainly all the adults, it would seem, or most. The younger ones maybe haven't started yet, but that's fine. Now, in terms of, so you have your personal account, which you just shared yes to. Do you have a business account? Even if it's if you're self-employed, but a second account that you just run all your business activities solely through. Show of hands. Okay, so the room is now less than half. Right, so pretty much what financial inclusion, that was a kind of visual example of what it is we mean when we talk about financial inclusion. So in your personal capacity, clearly the vast majority of you were financially included in the formal, regulated, licensed financial industry or sector. Of course, by your second response, in terms of the business side of things, there's opportunity there. Because your business is almost like a standalone, separate person to yourself as well. And it too requires that sort of organization and formalization over time to participate in what is a monetary system. That's pretty much what it is. Yes? So today, I kind of took this from your thing. You sent me a little video. So the mystery of wealth, I think, was one of the things I took out of it. So the heading here is unlocking the mystery of health and unlocking the mystery to health and financial to wealth, I'm sorry. And health. Health is good too. Help to pay your medical bills when you turn over, you know. But more so from the perspective of how capital providers can facilitate financial inclusion for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, or small business as we know them. Yeah? So what is financial inclusion? Financial inclusion is the use of laws and policies to establish an enabling environment for greater what? Access. So you have to access, if you want to leverage a financial system, then you have to be able to access it in the first place. And then you have to participate in it in terms of usage. And the aim there is to create a more inclusive economy, as well as to empower consumers through financial literacy as how to make wise choices and how to select one particular financial product versus another to treat with a particular financial challenge you might have. And who benefits? All of us benefit. And here are some areas. We have micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, as you are here. The youth, they're youth within the audience here this morning. Consumers, in terms of making wise financial choices, as well as welfare beneficiaries and government. If you may recall, during COVID, seeing the very long lines at the remittance services entities at a point where we should be socially distancing and trying to minimize the spread of this disease, so this virus. So one of the main reasons behind that was because the vast majority of those persons were not financially included. At the very basic, they did not have a bank account. So they had to risk life and limb to go out, travel to a location during no travel days, and to be in a position to physically receive that cash payment. Now, what if they were financially included? What if they had, at a minimum, a bank account or some other account within the monetary system? They could easily, at the stroke of a keystroke, computer keystroke, receive that fund. If they had that account, they would have an ABM card that at their convenience, they could go get the cash. They don't have to be bundling up with everybody. Or they could go online and, pay their bills, pay the water rate, the light bill, etc. So when it is we talk about financial inclusion, it's not an end in and of itself, but if for you to be able to participate more effectively and more efficiently in this financial system, then you have to be included. You have to register. I think we're registering outside here. So in order to be part of this financial forum being hosted today, you had to register. So you're included. Everybody knows that you are a participant today. Yeah? So it's a similar kind of approach. And of course, from the government's perspective, it's the same. Oftentimes, and churches are in charity, sometimes you see a lot of charities have significant overheads. You get $100, and sometimes 60% of it is administrative, and it's only 40% reach the beneficiaries. So the state provides social benefits, pensions, all these kind of a thing. So in a framework that has less inclusion, then you're going to have all this line. Then you have to have 200 persons to be doing things manually, etc. Whereas, and that costs money. If it is all of the persons on path, all of the persons who getting a pension, etc., are included financially and they have accounts, then they can digitally receive payment. Very convenient. They don't have to leave their house. They don't have to incur the costs and the time wasting and so forth to be back and forth. So really, that is really, in a nutshell, what we're trying to achieve here. So from the perspective of the government, it cuts down on the cost. So instead of for every 100, 60% is going to the bureaucracy, the people behind it pushing paper. Then maybe only $5 out of the $100 need to go to that, and the 95 can go to the citizenry so that they can have a greater benefit. We're talking about small business, but small business is big business. And they will tell you that a significant part of the economic growth of any society and the employment comes from the small and the micro business segment. And for more than one reason, because they don't have the scale. So, they always have to, is the people, sometimes self-employed or family members, everybody being employed out of the business. So it provides a lot of employment. It provides a lot of growth in terms of GDP. And so here, as at March of this year, 2024, in terms of just measuring from credit, loans that are extended and outstanding to the MSME segment in Jamaica, that approximated to $161 billion. So it's no chicken feed, so to speak. And it's as a ratio to GDP is about 5.3%. And as always, this MSME segment continues to grow year over year. And as at March 2024 over March of 2023, it grew by 27.7%. And on the sub segments, in terms of micro, maybe a number of us, the self-employed, small, maybe less than 5, less than 10 employees, etc. That grew 12.4%. The small business segment grew by 11.8%. And the medium size grew up in 59.2%. So they're really humming along. Of course, MSMEs have a number of challenges, and here I want to highlight 3 main challenges that are experienced by MSMEs. Informality is a big one, and lack of financial inclusion, and that was evident earlier from our non-scientific survey this morning. There was no account that's set up. Maybe there's no discrete, separate accounting related to the business. You just know that, you make your product and you go to the financial fair and you sell it and then you turn it again. And somewhere there is this intersection between the business on the one hand and even your own personal expenses and cash flow on the other. So there's no way to distinguish. The second challenge is the lack of access to affordable finances. There are many persons who have great ideas, bankable ideas, but are unable to either access, or if they do access funding, it is at a higher interest rate, for example. And that can sometimes be prohibitive. And there's the lack of access to capacity building resources. And this one is very dear to me because there's no entrepreneur that don't want to have some kind of coach, some kind of sounding board to test ideas, to be guided, and to benefit from others who have gone before, etc. As to how they can strengthen their business and make it more efficient, more effective, how they can scale it over time. But all of this is interlinked if you're informal, then there is no record that somebody independent of you can assess. So when you go to your bank or your credit union or whoever, there's nothing there, or they have to be trying to unravel between your personal expenses and cash flows and the business to find out how is this business actually performing. So you see the interwoven nature of it. And because them don't know what is there, them go and charge you more. If your business was in fact humming along very effectively and growing, I said, boy, look at the amount of revenue coming in every week, every month in this business, and your expenses are minuscule and you're taking home net this. I can bank you and I don't need to charge you this expensive interest rate. I know I'll get back my money. You're a lower risk to me. So everything is interwoven. So how can capital providers facilitate financial inclusion for MSMEs? There are 4 areas I want to run through quickly. Is financial access, which is along the line that we were speaking of earlier today. And debt financing, this is when they pretty much lend you money at an interest rate. Equity financing is when they join you, they take a stake in your business, so they're partners with you in that regard. And capacity building, where they provide you counseling, connection, other technical resources or access thereto that will aid the progress of your business. So in terms of financial access, it starts at the beginning. You're running a race, you line up at the starting line. So you start by getting included, and a very simple way to get included is by simply opening a bank account or other financial accounts with your financial partner. So whether it is a commercial bank or a credit union or some other entity, start there. And there are a lot of adults in this room. I'm sure you have children, young children, and nieces and nephews and so forth. Start there as well. I would encourage you. Start to expose them from very early, and that's where they will develop a greater financial literacy and acuity to make wise financial choices. Because you not only have to learn how to make the money, you have to learn to multiply it, and then you have to learn to keep it, right? A lot of people make a whole heap of money, and they have no way to show that because so it come in, so it go out. Some going out twice as fast as it's coming in, and then they turn around to you and say, boy, I beg you something now. You know what I mean? So financial education is a key component of the process as well. Yes? Right, so the benefits of opening an account are to get included or to access the financial system. It improves your accounting and your tracking. You know for your business what's coming in and what's going out, and where, in what areas, how much you spend on light bill, how much you're spending on water, how much you're spending on salaries and so forth. What's the cost of your goods, what's the cost of your inventory, and that sort of thing. It enhances financial planning. If you start to track what's coming in and what's going out, then you can better plan. You know that every Saturday is your best day, for argument's sake, because everybody will come out now, they're not at work, so they can come to your establishment and buy and so forth. So it gives you insight as to the psyche of your customers and how your business may be enhanced. It builds relationship with your financial partners. So your bank don't know you if you're not a customer. Don't show up when you need to borrow the money. When I say, who you again? Oh, and then you don't have any proper records. So it's a black hole that they're looking into, and that's why they charge that higher premium, when you approach for credit. And then it allows, by getting into a formal system, it allows you greater safety and security. Of course, insurance as well, depending on the product. For example, deposits would be insured up to 1.2 million per depositor per financial institution, for DTI more specifically. And deposit-taking institution, their DTI, we're speaking specifically to commercial banks, merchant banks, and building societies. And it allows you access to online and other digital payment systems, because I don't think there's an account that is open now, even the basic ordinary account that doesn't have, for example, an ABM twin to it or online banking twin to it. And that's a very effective way for you to add efficiency both to your personal life as well as to your business. If you're cash-based, it means you have to physically engage with your customer, or your customer has to physically come to you. If you are digitized, then you are more scalable. Locally, a lot of young entrepreneurs using their WhatsApp and their Instagram, and they're leveraging that to say, okay, you can now send the credit to my account and send me the receipt, I can confirm online. So it allows you to scale. So you're no longer restricted to operate just out of to the customers within UE campus, using here as an example. Somebody in Montego Bay can transact. Somebody in Westmoreland can transact. And then now you have courier services that you can set up an account with them, and then you dispatch the goods to them. So it allows you to scale, even though it's you one. You understand? By using the technology, you can now scale. It's like you're multiplying yourself. Yeah? Debt financing really involves borrowing money with repayment of principal and interest at a later date. There are two main forms of debt financing. You have term loan facilities. These are the more longer dated, 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, 7 years out. And the working capital facility, which a lot of entrepreneurs, certainly in the early days, will need as well. Like your bank overdraft, receivables financing factoring, a business credit card. And how this is helpful is that a lot of times after you sell the good, especially if you sell it on credit, let's say you're in that sort of business, you're going to get paid 30 days or 3 months out, and then your money is tied up. So what the overdraft does is allow you to go restock to get the other set of final goods out, while payment will come in at a later date. The receivables and factoring, so take for example, if you're selling to a well-established, say a Grace Kennedy, that is reliable, pay the bill on time, you have a contract with them. You can take those invoices, let's say you have certain invoices up to $1 million. You say, banker, I have these invoices that Grace owes me up to $1 million, but they're going to pay me 3 months from today. Lend me 900,000 against it, and they would advance that. And so when Grace pays $1 million, they get the $1 million. You are repaying them through that receipt from Grace Kennedy, your 900, and they make a return on it. But in the meantime, over that 3 months, you get 900,000. You can plow back into the business and get another batch of goods out and repeat the cycle. Equity here involves selling a portion of your business to raise funding. So if you're self-employed, you own 100% of your business. But, Greg might have a particular skill set that you don't have that you could benefit from, and he might have access to certain markets. So you say, okay, Greg, I give you 20% of my business. You pay me for that, you plow that in the business, and then now you have the benefit of Greg's network and his ideas, and with your particular skill, because maybe you come up with the idea and the product, and you know it inside out, and you pull that together, and you scale over time. Of course, when you get big in Jamaican terms, and more formalized, well organized, there's the opportunity for you to approach the Jamaica Stock Exchange. It has a junior market for the relatively smaller business. And currently, you could raise up to 500 million Jamaican through that, through IPO. You'd hear that initial public offering in the public space. I think recently the Minister of Finance would have announced a planned increase to up to $750 million. That's to take effect within this financial year. And the benefit of going through the junior market is that you have tax incentives. So on your profits, you get 100% waiver of corporate tax for the first 5 years. So you can, that 25 or 33.33%, you can plug that back in your business and scale even faster. And for the second 5 years, you get 50% of your tax obligation. So they kind of tier it, and then after 10 years, you graduate to the main market, and then you pay whatever the full. But by that time, by 10 years worth of compounding, the company that started is 10, 15, 20 times the company, in 10 years' time. So you scale. One of the companies that you know quite well that used it, and they were one of the early users of this facility, is LASCO. LASCO Financial, LASCO Manufacturing, and LASCO Distributors. Right, and they're mammoth today. I mean, billions and billions of dollars. Venture capital and angel investors. These are pretty much high net worth individuals or entities that would engage you early on in your entrepreneurial journey. You obviously these pitch rooms, for example, as well. And Shark Tank, a lot of you might know Shark Tank. You come with an idea, and those high net worth individuals say, I'll take a bet on you. I'll lend you X amount, or I will buy X amount of your business. And they bring their own expertise to it, to scale it fast. Because their aim is to identify bankable ideas, things that are the next find the next Zuckerberg, the next whomever, that start out in their garage. I mean, no, those entities are $1 trillion US companies, and they started out as basic as an idea in a garage. Apple, similarly. Yeah? And capacity building. This one is dear to my heart. It involves strengthening of businesses, speed, system, and processes. And there are many ways through which you can have capacity building. Through grants, for example. These are no interest, no principal repayment. They're just saying infusing your business with some cash. Sometimes it is for a particular activity. For example, there have been grants that, I think through DBJ, that allows business to digitize a little better, or to build a web page, for example. And because think about it, when you have a web page, you move from being very local, maybe community-based, to being global almost instantaneously. Somebody WhatsApp you, say, boy, I hear you have so and so. I say, yeah, go on my website. And you have all the information there. You could be in UK, US, wherever. They facilitate, they assist with proposal writing, market research, we spoke of digital capabilities. Copyright is important. A lot of persons are now in what we call the orange economy, where you are more artsy. You either painting or music or this kind of a thing. And that's asset as well. That's a digital asset. And your branding is important as well. Your logo, that's something, that should be copywritten and protected, because somebody else can can take it and copyright it before you, and then you have no rights to it. So be mindful.
Does that apply to, you said digital media art? I think you're alluding to digital art, but does it apply to physical art, like three-dimensional pieces or paintings? Do you have to copyright those?
Well, typically,
Yeah. Once you put your name and your logo on it and it's dated, it's a known piece. You can't copy it.
it's a known piece, but it's known to you. But it's not known to an established registry within this legal framework that would afford you greater protection. I mean, those are important steps to do. Nonetheless, every painter paints, writes, signs his artwork, and you can decipher, for those who are better skilled than I am, the real from the fake and all of that. But what copyright allows, or registering your trademark, is that extra layer of protection and a vehicle through which you can pursue remedy if somebody breaches it, right? It's not a he said, she said, and you understand? So I remember many years ago, dating myself here, there was I think at the end of, on Halfway Tree Road and across from Rootven JPS, there was a McDonald's. Yes. Anybody remember that? Yeah. And when McDonald's came out here, there was a big lawsuit. They said, you can't be selling burgers over there. I am the McDonald's. I am registered in more than 150 countries worldwide. And there was a big squabble. I mean, the poor little entrepreneur, can you imagine?
Yeah. Didn't they lose?
Huh?
McDonald's lose because that McDonald's predated them?
It predated them, and you couldn't confuse the two.
Yeah.
You really couldn't confuse the two. But that's what happens when you are formalized. Yeah. You have a mechanism through which to pursue action. Yeah. So I'm glad that the Jamaican man was allowed. It's now a tasty company, I think. Yeah. But yeah, so it tells you copyright and trademark is a serious thing. Yeah. And governance. Governance comes about how you run your business, how you set up, have your org chart, know who is doing what, have the benefit of a board, and don't feel that it's so far-fetched. Get somebody independent of you, somebody you know in business, a friend to say, boy, you act as my chairman in this very small thing, meaning you have somebody independent giving you a different perspective, asking the right questions, some of the questions you might not have thought of. Because when you start out as a small entrepreneur, is you one on God. And not to say that is not sufficient. But if you can get other help and other perspective, that's important. Yeah? Because you're bogged down. You are the inventory person. You are making the cake. You're marketing the cake. You're selling the cake. You're delivering the cake. You're collecting. So some of the things might slip through the cracks. Yes. So having other persons that can provide that insight is important. I'm almost done. So the big picture outcome, MSME growth can be better enabled by capital providers through the facilitation of greater access, we spoke of that, to affordable debt and equity financing, capacity building, which is so important, and financial education. Because if you have the money and you don't know what to do with it, you're still in trouble, I can assure you that. And certainly this will lead to greater financial inclusion and financial literacy within this important sector. As I wrap up, just want to share with you that the Bank of Jamaica, through its Financial Inclusion Technical Secretariat, does have on TVJ, you might see some Real Talk videos. It's an animated series that provide tips, more on the personal side, in terms of budgeting, saving, financial planning, etc. And we have we also have tips on some of the major radio stations, RGR 94, IRI, Love, and Mellow. And we may be access YouTube content on Central Bank JA. And this slide, if you don't take nothing from today's thing, I want you to focus on this slide. I just kind of curate just a handful. There are many others. In terms of financing and grants and that kind of a thing, DBJ, you could reach out and just to get, even just for information purposes, what they have based on the type of business that you are operating currently. The star of the show for me is JBDC. JBDC, Jamaica Business Development Corporation, because they do a lot of the hand-holding. The MSME space is where they dominate. They can guide you with the proposal writing, the market research. They can connect you to the accountant, the whomever, and they do a lot of financial education seminars online and in person from time to time. A lot of them are free. You sign up. Some of them at a small cost. And they record them, and it's on their website as well. Maybe over 100 different things on marketing, how to sell, the works. So I encourage us to take advantage of that. And a lot of entrepreneurial ventures start from skills that we might acquire. So don't bother, even though I don't go UE and wherever else, and UTech and all the others, learn a skill. Art NSTA is there. I think recently, within the last year or so, I think the government would have made up to a certain level or certification within Art, most if not all of their programs to be free to the members of the public. So take advantage of that. They have summer programs coming up and so forth. If you did want to do interior decorating or plumbing or electrician or whatever, shoemaking, whatever it is, take advantage of it. Be certified. And it's not good to say, boy, sometimes they're interviewing on TV and they say, I just go on YouTube and so. Great. And you have it, you have acquired it, but also get your certification. So when you go into Grace, they say, Grace, for your awards function, I can create X amount of tokens for you, and I am a Heart certified or I'm this certified. It gives you a better platform on which to engage, yeah? And then the networking and getting insights and lobbying for and on your behalf and other entrepreneurs like yourself. Get involved in a small business association or MSME alliance or any similar thing, because you are not alone. Your challenges and your opportunities are not only restricted to you. You can benefit from exchanging ideas with others. And with that, I close. You may access other Bank of Jamaica content at the BOJ's main website, www.boj.org.gm. And the one below it, it shouldn't be there. It's under development, but it's up. And it's one more driven to financial inclusion and literacy. That's www.nfi.boj.org.gm, and it's kind of try to warehouse everything in one space. With that, I thank you. I see a hand there.
Your Real Talk series that you put on TV is also on your website?
Yes, and it's on the YouTube channel. So if you go there, it links, because what it does is just curate everything. Because if you have it in 50 different places, it gets a little splintered. So by bringing it under one umbrella. So that's the idea. How that will evolve is still a work in progress. Yes?
You mentioned building capacity when you were talking about. Sorry, thanks. You mentioned building capacity when you were talking about getting online, and I recently saw where a small company was lamenting because they had done some business with somebody, and then the person had sent to their bank indicating that there was some credit issue and the goods were not delivered to them, and therefore they apparently applied to the bank to credit them for the sum that had gone to the entrepreneur, and so the business had lost. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So I make shoes, and you order a dozen shoes from me, and then after I have delivered to you, you go to your bank and say, I did not get these things. I need my account to be credited, and the particular.
What, I paid you for the shoes?
Right. So the shoes were paid for.
Yes.
But then the buyer,
seller or the
buyer went back to their bank and said, this transaction was not completed.
Right.
And the bank took the money back from the entrepreneur. And I can't remember what they called it, but I'm just wondering, when you're venturing out into that kind of online setting.
Well, that sounds like the bank was involved, maybe through like a letter of credit or something, because under normal circumstances, I don't think the bank would get involved there. If you, yeah, that is between the two parties. Because if you send the shoes just on good faith, almost on a cash account basis, or pay on delivery, and then I send the payment, and if I send the payment, then if I don't get the goods, then I have to take it up with the person I've contracted with.
Right.
So unless the bank is acting in the truest sense as an intermediary, like letters of credit, where they're matching back and making sure that it's almost a simultaneous exchange, and with more or stronger documentation that you have recourse. I'm not sure on what basis the bank would credit you back, because oftentimes, even if you send me money right now, and you send it in error, you put a 1 instead of a 2 at the end, the bank says, well, that says what you put in the system. That's what you wrote on the form. You now have to get in touch with that person and ask them to return it. So that is what I know.
I guess the question was, how does the entrepreneur protect themselves from that in an online environment where money is just moving from one place to another?
Yes.
And you have to prove that that business actually took place.
It's difficult. It's not impossible, because the challenge with a small entrepreneur is, in order to get that sort of protection, the costs involved might just outweigh the potential benefit. However, depends on the product as well. And in your case, it's a physical product. You can do. LCs are usually what, in terms of export, international trade. If it's local, no, letter of credit, I'm sorry. I see your hand, but one second. I'm just trying to see how to wrap my mind. How do you protect yourself? Insurance is one way. When things fail to go according to plan, but that is not an operational thing. It shouldn't be every time you're claiming an insurance. That's for the odd event. But I think better screening is important. I would start there. Screening of your counterparties. In the same way the bank screens you, in terms of when they're gonna give you their money and you're gonna walk out the bank's door. They want to know, is this person reputable? Do your research. That's what I'm saying. Check with your small business colleagues and so forth. Oh, you have done business with them before. How long have you been doing business? 10, 20 years. Yeah, I've been doing business. People who you trust. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So I think in anything, whether you're small or even large scale, your due diligence is important on your counterparty. That's what I would say. Yes.
What I wanted to say after what you were saying, a lot of times they put the money, it's not really the bank draw it back, you know. What they do something like a check that is not valid.
And it bounces.
To your account. So when you go to your account, you see that money in there.
And then you release the goods.
Right. So that is a scam.
It's not cleared.
It's not really there. So it's not really the bank take back the money. It's that the money was never there. So what you have to check is, it can say, check your balance. Available balance is important. So instead of you just check and say your balance is 500,000, you know you had 4. And it's 100,000 they were supposed to pay you. Check the available balance, and then you will know if it is available. It is in your account.
And so which comes back to doing your due diligence, right? As I said, making the money is half of the equation. You have to learn how to keep it. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank
All
you.
right, so before you